What up, heavy mommies, and welcome to this impromptu video. This might be something I just do from time to time. I don't really want to set any expectations on it, but I just felt like doing it. And for the topic of this particular video, I wanted to talk about knowing when to quit. Because I feel like it's one of those things where if you were raised in the way that I was raised, when you start something, you finish it. Like even when I quit sports, I never quit in the middle of a season. When I was done with the sport, I finished out my season and then I just didn't go back to it. And I feel like it's really important to know when, in whatever endeavor you're doing, when to quit, and know the difference between quitting because something's too hard versus quitting because something isn't right for you. Because there is a difference, right? There's a difference between doing something and having to push past that next level to where it's like, man, if I just work a little harder and I get through this tough time, then, there's a big payoff at the end. Like that definitely exists too, right? But then there are other times where it's like you're fighting yourself so hard to do this thing that is this thing really right for you? Is it really the thing you want to do? Is it really how you want to spend your time? And more often than not, in those kind of circumstances, like you'll know when it's something like, man, maybe I should quit. Like maybe I should stop doing this and I should then use this as a new opportunity for a new beginning. Because it's more than just quitting something because you want to quit something. To me, it's all about knowing when maybe the thing served its purpose for the lessons that you needed to learn, and you now no longer need to learn those lessons, right? You now have a new challenge that awaits you that is completely different than what your original expectations were. When I decided to, I'm going to just call it an indefinite hiatus from my podcast, I did it because it was no longer serving me in the way that it used to serve me. What that podcast meant for me when I was in it, it stopped meaning that to me. And it's not like I never want to do a podcast ever again. It's not like that. But in the moment that I'm in currently, I don't see a path where doing the podcast makes any sense for me. And so for me, that was like the right move. I needed to stop it. And in fact, after quitting it, funny enough, I feel like I'm more creative now. And I've been spending my time doing the things that I really like doing. So in this case, doing like photo shoots and taking photos and being more on the photography side of things has been what's been more interesting to me. And so I've been doing a lot more of that. I'm very much interested in making films. And in fact, I've even started working on one. Still got a long ways to go before that thing is going to be ready. But, that's where my interest is. So if I were to have the mentality to never quit something, and even though the podcast was like not serving me, was making me feel bad about myself, it was just making me feel like, man, like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not even enjoying this anymore. It's just stressing me out, not recording. When I finally let go of that, I allowed for so many more opportunities to be available to me. I freed up the expectation that I had in my mind that this podcast was supposed to be the thing that was going to take me to the next level. And I was supposed to, there are so many supposed to's and should have and whatevers that it was blinding me from a truth that was right in front of my face, which is that, hey, you like taking pictures, like just keep doing that. Do it for fun. It doesn't have to be a career. It can be something that I just do on the side for fun and that I enjoy. So for me, like, that's what I've been doing. I've just been, taking photos for fun. I wish I had more people to take photos of, but, it's cold now in Chicago, so trying to get somebody to go outside is pretty challenging, and I don't have a studio. So, so for me, I try to shoot when I can and, street photography, do that kind of stuff. And when I'm taking those photos, like, I'm in that space, man. I'm in like the flow state when I do that kind of stuff. And that's how I know it's something that's right for me and is good for me, is like I do it because it's fun and I enjoy it. And I don't really think too deeply about it. I like getting nice photos at the end of it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like getting nice photos. It's nice to post them and share them with people. But I'm not doing it to try to make money off of it. Although I do believe I'm good enough where if somebody wants my services, like, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask money for it. And if that opportunity presents itself, sure. But I'm not like forcing that. You know, I already have a job that pays me enough money. And that's really all I needed, was a job that pays me enough money. And then from there, it's like, okay, now if I want to do more stuff with the art, I can. I can do it for fun, and I don't have to worry about it like being my big break to get out of, working some low-level job. I don't have to worry about that now. And having that knowledge now, and like waiting for this, I waited for this moment. I had prepared and made these kind of moves happen. That freed that up for me, where by me quitting the podcast, it was like I quit something that was not even helping me anymore anyway. So even though it was something that was good for me at one point, and I think knowing when to change and when to evolve from your expectations, and it's not throwing in the towel, it's not giving up on your dreams. It's just like with newfound wisdom, adjusting your expectations on what you want out of something. So for me, like, I no longer needed it to be the thing that created a career for me. I don't need it to do that. And funny enough, I feel like freeing that up, I'm probably going to end up being more productive in the creative space anyway, because there's less of that pressure, which for some people works, but for some like me, it doesn't. Like, that kind of pressure, all that does is just make me feel bad, honestly. Like, I wish it worked. I wish it was like this motivating, like, yeah, man, like, if you don't do this, you're gonna die. Like, and it's like, cool, I step up and I rise to the occasion. No, that's not how it works for me. It just makes me like want to crawl in bed and do nothing. Like, it makes me like want to avoid it. And so knowing like your own motivations too is important. So for me, knowing when to quit, knowing when to opt out, and that has now allowed me to completely change what I want to do and do it more true to where I'm currently at, rather than the idea of where I thought I should be by this time in my life. And really releasing expectations on anything in general, I feel like is like super important, because when you have expectations about something, it sets you up to only be satisfied in a very particular scenario with a very particular set of circumstances. And that is setting yourself up for failure, because the universe very rarely is going to let things play out in the way that you anticipate them. We might be pretty good at trying to anticipate problems, because evolution has done that for us, right? That's what our mind is always doing. It's trying to anticipate problems and avoid them. But the reality is that, to me, that anticipation and that anxiety and that overthinking, it has only prevented me from enjoying the things when they do work out, even if they don't work out in a way that I expected them to. And so I'm trying to remove expectations for things that I'm supposed to be doing or where I'm supposed to be. I don't want those. I don't want expectations. I'd much rather be along for the ride. I mean, at the end of the day, like, that's what this whole thing is. It's just a ride. What is fucking Hicks? There was like the Hicks bit, but like, it's just a ride, and like, we're all along for the ride, and we're all here, and sometimes we're in charge of the raft, and sometimes the current is. And so I feel like in my situation now, I'm just going along with the flow. I'm going where my heart is creatively. And if that means making some more of these kinds of videos where it's like kind of like a podcast, but maybe not quite as formal, not getting uploaded to the feed, whatever, like, then cool. Then this is my way of getting, what that podcast used to serve for me, get a little bit of that in there. And then to me, the guest part, having guests on and having cool conversations, that's something I want to continue, but in the filmmaking space. So, more produced videos, still having that kind of interview conversation dynamic with whoever my subjects are, but then having the subject having a nicely produced story that does a better job of telling what they're telling people, of their story, through the visual medium, in addition to their vocal backtrack that is gonna be narrating the thing. So, we'll see. We'll see where this all goes. I have no expectations. I don't even know the timeline of this stuff. I just know that I want to take more photos, and I want to try to make more videos. And no pressure. Doesn't need to maintain a YouTube channel. I'm not worried about fucking subscribers or comments or anything like that. Like, I would love to get feedback from you guys, just from the standpoint of like, do you like this? Is there anything that you'd like to change? Whatever. But that being said, I don't want to do it for validation or for approval or anything. Like, I just want to put some shit out into the world. Hopefully it helps people. Hopefully lessons that I learn can be translated well enough to make somebody think about it in a different way. Not to even think the way that I do, but just simply open up the question. And then whatever you want to then take on from that path beyond that is like, that's where it's out of my control, right? I just put it out there into the ether, and, you know, whatever is made of it afterwards is then no longer mine. So yeah. So anyway, this is just like a quick little video. I just want to talk about quitting and why sometimes it's a good thing, especially when it's done in the right way for the right reasons. So thanks again. Peace out, heavy mommies.